Tuesday, September 13th. We're here for a regular council meeting. We're going to stand for a moment of, not moment of silence, but we're going to let Brother Glenn give us an invitation, then we're going to say the pledge of allegiance.
Father, we thank you again for this day and all your blessings. Lord, we just ask you to help us to be mindful of every good and perfect thing come from you. Ask you to be with us during this meeting. We pray that your will for this city and for all of us will be. We ask you again, Father, thank you again for your blessings in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can we call the roll, please?
Kathy?
Here.
Mr. Pollak?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Welling?
Here.
Mr. Wolf?
Here. Thank you, ma'am. Next on the agenda, moving straight right into our agenda, is the citizens' comments. Are there any citizens' comments? Floor is open. Okay. Consent agenda. I have 1 7 minutes. Do I have a motion to accept by consent?
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. No corrections or additions? No objections? Let the record reflect. Passes 5-0. Okay, moving to our regular agenda. Doug?
Good morning, sir, Mr. Mayor, Council. How are you today?
Good.
All right, so we'll move into our department reports. I do have one update. Tommy Davis is off for a doctor's appointment today, so I'll be filling in for him in his department report. I'll go through that one. That's the first one on the item for the agenda. So Public Works report, we've been working with FDOT specifically at the 15th Street and corner of 98. We had 6 engineers here last week that reviewed that process with us. There was 3 engineers in training that they were showing what they're doing, but there's 3 engineers here looking at that property on how we can get the water off of 15th Street. As bad as it's getting, it's not getting any better. I also had a follow-up call with the project manager yesterday and let her know that something bad could possibly happen soon. There's water every time it rains, because we're getting so much rain in a row, it's not dissipating. So it's continuing to cross the street. So I expressed our concerns with that. She said that she was going to reach out and have a solution. Some of the main things that they're working on is some of the trip studies related to that corner, and whether or not they do a drop lane or a turn lane in the middle based on the project for resurfacing for next year. So they're waiting on the results from the trip study, and I said, well, you're going to have to figure out something to push that water somewhere else, because everything from that used to dissipate into the club is pushing that way, and it's continuing. They're working on a possibility of going down 14th Street or going down 15th Street to the canal down there. So that's something that they're looking into. We recommended that as well. So that's been a top priority for us for FDOT. This past week, James Taunton, thank you very much for his help, helped us move the fish cooler over to the pavilion at the fish cleaning station. That thing is up and running. Our boat wash is running. We've ordered a sign that describes the pricing for it. It should be here any day now. But that is up and running, and it looks great. It's nice to see that cleared out area where the fish cooler was before. Randy graded the entire parking lot, so we had some low spots that we graded out. So it's really looking like a first-class facility there at the pavilion and the boat ramp. Our city employees have been working diligently on some of our stormwater repairs, specifically on Maryland and going down 7th Street. We had a couple, some neighbors that were flooded out a little bit, so we worked with them to divert it away from their house and their front of standing on their driveway. The city dumpsters is continuing to be a problem. I just want to bring it to your attention that the city maintains 2 dumpsters in the city that you're aware of, one under the palms and one at the one at the boat ramp. Residents or guests or somebody are putting items in there, household items continually, and it's overflowing, and then you can't close the lid, and then bears are coming, so the bears are starting to come back in action. We saw some bears hit some trash cans this weekend on Oleander, reported by a resident, and some other places. So we are diligently working to keep those lids closed. Every chance I get to speak about it and put it on social media that that's there, because I think that if we didn't have those dumpsters, people would dump the trash somewhere else, or in front of their house or somebody else's house. So I do think they're a need for the city. However, it becomes a nuisance at times. So if you guys are out and about, please make sure you help spread the word to keep those locked up. Just an update in Public Works, we're working to fill a couple positions. There's a sanitation driver worker that's available, that's been posted. We're trying to find somebody. It's in the neighborhood of $15 an hour, depending on qualifications. If you're a driver, it's a little bit more. But we're looking for some people to fill that role. And then we also have the Public Works Superintendent position that was vacated a week or so ago. And we're posting that internally. Hopefully we get an internal candidate. Currently, Troy is still in that role. He stepped up to cover that area, so we don't lose any time for that. So that's all I have for the Public Works update. If you have any questions for me, I'll be free to answer.
Doug, going back on 98, near the 8th Street Bridge, has a washout coming in down there, going right up to the road.
Is it coming down 8th Street or 7th Street? Is it
No,
coming?
it's on 98.
Okay, going the other way.
It's on this side of the bridge,
Okay. But is it on the Gulf side or the other
the
side?
Gulf side.
Okay. That's a walkover right there, I believe.
Oh, it's right by, I think, a pole, a telephone pole, whatever.
We reported a few of those to DOT because they'll maintain that for us, but if it's not been corrected, we can do that with some fill that we have. So thanks for the heads up.
Doug, on that 15th Street, I believe that's the one, 15th and 98 in front of the hotel?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Knowing that that's been like that for a long time, and knowing that's gonna happen when it rains, do we not have a plan to get that water out of there and then proceed to fix it?
So it's not my road. It's not our road. It's a DOT road. That's what I'm working with them as on a long-term solution. In the short term, they bring the back truck over and they back out those 2 pipes that are in the ground for the drains. They're not deep enough. They're not designed properly for the amount of water that comes to that area, and they've admitted that. But that's in the meantime, I have to put a sign out. If this happens during the day, we can pump it across the street or somewhere else if we have to.
Well, I think we ought to come up with a solution, because the only thing that's going on right now, we're waiting for it to dissipate and go away.
Yes, sir.
And absorb. So if we had a plan until we find a solution.
I agree.
It's a
with
hazard.
you. I agree, and I'm working diligently with DOT to help us get a plan for that. I can't force their hand. It's not our city street.
Okay, I still think we ought to get the water out of there, knowing the day after, we ought to get the water out of there some way, whether it's pumped across or
Understood.
whatever. That's personal opinion.
It is, it's a hazard. It's been that way. It's just worse because of the rain.
We'll work on that. Continue. That's all I have for the Public Works update. If there's no other comments, we can move on to the code enforcement report. Kathy Lyons is here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, first of all, the dog that was on Facebook yesterday, so popular, has been returned back to his home. And the people lived over on Oak Street. It was a cute little dog, and we were ready to adopt it if they didn't like. He was happy to go home. Also, within the past couple of weeks, I've sent out about 25 notices to try to get some lots cleared. Landscapers are calling me saying it's just difficult with the way the weather is right now, but they've got everything on their list, and they'll get to them just as soon as they can. Also, please make sure that you're not putting chairs, tables, any items on the side of the road for us to pick up. We still don't pick these items up, and we won't. And it's kind of ugly when you drive down and you see somebody's desk chair sitting out there with a desk and no human next to it. So if you could just kind of make sure you don't keep your items there. We're down to 4 RVs, and next month is their last month. So as of October 31st, the RVs will be gone that are here. I also just want to remind you that Thursday night, the fire department will be back doing the hot dogs again, and snacks and drinks. And we had a good time last time. The hot dogs were actually pretty good.
When people don't mind the rules and put chairs and tables and umbrellas and stuff on the side of the road, who ultimately picks them up?
I don't know.
Well, we noticed.
Not me.
We noticed them, sir, that they can't leave that junk beside the road. They're supposed to take it to the landfill. If it sits there long enough, I could. but just because it turns into some kind of obstruction. or
And
something.
there's no identification of it being from someone's property, it's just someone, a derelict, just dropped the,
Generally, they put it out because they think we pick up bulk pickup and we don't. The trash guys do not pick up those items. It's just for household trash.
right.
So we communicate that with the owner if it's in front of a property.
Okay, if it is, if it's identifiable to a property, we let them know.
Right. If it's not, we handle it other ways.
Gotcha.
And we do notice all the time that if they have a question or they need help with something, we post Tommy Davis's phone number out. They can contact the Public Works Department or City Hall. If they need help removing something, if we can recycle it, we try to help the neighbors. We just would rather have a heads up as opposed to sitting on the side of the street. So we're here to help.
Okay. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Next up, we have Ryan here from Atkins to update us on some of the FEMA recovery.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
All right. First update. Try to put these money updates at the top. We got approved for a $900,000 excuse me, $900,000 payout on the Citywide Streets project. So that's good. Almost $1 million that they gave us the go ahead on, and I should be getting into the city bank account in about 2 to 3 weeks. We are currently working on something with the state to offset 428 projects, overruns, underruns. Basically, for you guys who are familiar with it somewhat, 428 projects are where we have like a fixed cost, and we get that amount of money one way or another. So the first thing we often do when we get a 428 project is try to offset ones where we have overrun costs and ones that we have underrun costs. Kind of exciting, I guess you might say, but we're the first community the state has run into with this, so we're kind of leading the process and developing a lot of the tools to do these offsets or to match those offsets. So been working with the state on that, and they're using a lot of stuff that we're developing here in Mexico Beach for other projects, so that's kind of neat. Third up, I got that I think I mentioned last time I was here that we did get awarded that marine debris removal grant for the water, or for the debris out in the Gulf. We're currently working with, that's a NIFWIP grant. We have gotten the grant agreement signed off on our side, and it's up on their side for routing. So once we get that back and fully executed, I'll be talking with David about moving forward with that and how, because they did the survey work on that. So that should be coming down the pipe before too long, once we get the grant agreement with the NIFWIP signed. I know we talked about the award too. I think you guys heard about the WC award for the boat ramp expansion. That Doug was asking me about that this morning. That's we're waiting on getting the grant agreement from the state on that before we can get started. We've got to get they've got to write that grant agreement up, and then we've got to route it through signatures on both our side and on their side before we can start work. But that will also get going before too long, hopefully. Normally, and I guess you guys always are interested in timeframes, I would say that could be like 2 to 3 months for them to create the grant agreement, route it through for signatures, and get all the approvals on their side legally. So, and then lastly, I have that we submitted some environmental review documents to FDEM and FEMA for the police fire relocation. That's one of the paths they keep talking about, the parallel paths. We've got that documentation over to them for the environmental review. We're now in the midst of working on costing out fill versus piles options as they have requested for us. So that's where we're at on the police fire. And we are still just over 84 million payouts. Once we get this next payout from Citywide Streets that I mentioned, well, obviously that should push us up over 85 million in terms of receiving funding. Yeah. So that's all I got. Any questions?
Yeah, boat ramp expansion.
Yeah.
Does that require a core permit?
Yeah. We think we did it. Yeah.
We got our permit.
Because we did.
Have all our permits.
This was a phased
Must not
project
require
where
a full.
Yeah. This,
we got.
and this worked out in our favor. This was a phased project where we got the design funding up front, and so that they were able to go through and do the design and submit for permitting, and that was one of the requirements of getting phase 2 funding, was that we had to submit all that stuff up at the BC before they would say, here's the money to do construction. So that one will be more, I don't want to speak too soon, but it will be more ready in the hopper, like shovel ready, I guess you would say, than most of the other projects that we have, where we have to go through design after they've already been obligated.
Okay. Awesome.
More of a clarification question.
Yeah.
The first one up there, 900,000 payout approved for citywide streets, should be received within 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Just for clarification, is that money already spent, something we've already done, something
Yeah.
that's coming?
It's money I already spent, so this is a reimbursement from the work to pave all the streets.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Questions, anyone? All? Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, moving on. Number 2 is ordinance 797, budget amendment for the ARPA funds. Doug, you want to explain this?
Yes, sir, I can take that one. Thank you, sir. So what you have before you is a budget amendment for the receipt of the final American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 payout. We received back in October, November, the first payout of $278,000. And then this is our second payment that we received a little earlier than we thought we would get it. And it's in our bank account. So as discussed last time, as we receive funding, we'll bring it to you for approval to go ahead and put where that money goes to. So it's in our account to do what we need to do with it. So what I'm requesting is to approve the first reading of ordinance 797. We're going to amend the fiscal year 22 budget to reflect the additional revenue. This money will be moved over into a designated reserve account, just like the last time, so that it can be spent at the council's discretion. Therefore, that offsets the revenue that comes in. So there's no, it's just more money that came in, so we're recognizing our additional money, I guess is the simple way to say it. Staff recommends approval, and it'll be put over into the designated reserves.
Okay. Is there a motion to read ordinance 797 by title
I'll make a motion to read ordinance 797 by title only.
only? Second. A motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Any questions?
I don't like to thank Doug for listening to the council and getting us to this up front rather than after.
Good. I like it. I'll do that. All right. There's no questions concerning the ARPA funding? We have a motion and a second to read. Please read.
Ordinance 797. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida, authorizing the amendment for the appropriation of funds and adoption of the amended budget for the fiscal year 2021 to 2022 for the general fund, providing an effective date.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Moving on to number 3 is the first reading of ordinance 798. Doug, I'll give that over to you.
Yes, sir. So ordinance 798 is related to the employee handbook. This is also an item for the first reading. If you can take one, just pass it around. I have a brief overview of the handbook and what we went through to get to this point. So currently the city has an updated existing City of Mexico Beach administrative policies. We've taken those policies from that ordinance in 644 and combined those, and the PowerPoint's also on the screen too for the residents and anybody else that has any questions. We've taken the existing administrative policies, we put it into a format that's a little up to date. The last time this has been done was in 2016. We were very far behind the 8 ball in some of our rules and procedures. So the next slide, please. You'll see some of the changes that I'm just going to highlight, some of the things that we looked at through this policy. This is something that's in my background. It does save the city exponentially funds. Something like this would probably cost, along with the pay study, would probably cost in the neighborhood of $25,000 to $30,000 if you went out and bid for it. We were able to do this in-house through my experience, and I've passed this through legal to let them know of any changes or any concerns, and now we're here for a first reading for this for approval. So the law changes could include anything from family medical leave, employee equal employment, sexual harassment, anti-discrimination protections, employee policies that restrict employee activity, drug testing rules, and then things related to Florida at-will employment. Some of the brief technology changes included data privacy. We've taken out anything that might have had to do with a beeper. Now it's your cell phone and social media and things of that, smartphones and things of that nature. On the next slide, you'll see the additions and clarifications. I won't run through all these, but just so you know, there's some things that were kind of lacking related to random drug testing. We didn't have an official policy related to that. That was enforced. Medical leave, military leave has been updated. We reviewed the cell phone policy while driving. Probationary period has been updated for 6 months. Domestic sexual leave violence has been updated. We wanted to make sure we just clarified some things that have been how we've always done it. Now it's in writing. It says, if you have an accident, who do you call? What do you do first? Those kind of things are in there. So an employee will get this packet on their first day. When they go through the packet, they will notice that any kind of things that they have a question about, and then they sign for acknowledgement of that packet. The next thing on my next slide is related to one monetary change. And you'll notice in the ordinance it reads any change to language and things of that nature can be done by the city administrator. Anything regarding monetary changes needs to come to the council for approval. So I've carried over all the current monetary changes that we had on file and not made any changes to those. The one thing that I do want to bring to your attention, I'm making this recommendation, the current sick leave policy. Currently the sick leave, the word is not abused, but it's highly utilized. As they earn a sick day, generally they use it because it's not rewarding for them to hold on to it. So they use it as they get it generally. And it's not being abused, but it would help us more, as short-staffed as we are at sometimes, if we could control this a little better and incentivize it for the employee to hold on to it. I think that would help the city as a whole. Currently, they earn 6 hours per month, and then for sick leave, I'm recommending we go to the payment of the sick leave is after 10 years, and they get 1/5 of their accrued sick time. So it's really pennies of what they can take with them. I'm not talking about annual leave, I'm just talking about sick leave. On the next page is related to the change that I'm recommending. I recommend that we go to 8 hours per month, so the employees will accrue 12 hours per year. And then after 6 years, if they left the city on their own or retired, however it would turn out, they would get, after 6 years, they'd be eligible for 50% of any accrued sick leave. So I think this incentivizes the employees not to use it or burn it in a fashion that they could otherwise hold on to. I highly recommend this. If it's something that you feel differently about, I'm open to hear anything, but sick time is something that kind of plagues us, especially during the middle of the summer when we have several people out at the same time. Other than that, that's the only monetary change, with the exception of the salary scales that are added into the back. Those have not been publicly noticed. They would come back to you every year on an annual basis during a budget review, so that when we talk about increases related to cost of living increases and those natures, we would be able to adjust the pay scales accordingly. The pay scales, as I've said before during budget, are inclusive of every employee. No employee is outside the pay range. We have something built in where they're not allowed to exceed that. So that's my presentation. It's a first reading, so if there's more information you need on the second reading, I can provide that back to you. I believe it's pretty straightforward for us as a whole, and it covers us on some issues that we're kind of going by word of mouth.
Okay, do we have any questions concerning the presentation and or the pamphlet?
I went through the previous handbook and obviously the new one, which is a lot thicker and there's a lot more to it. A lot of wording changes versus sexual harassment being discrimination,
Yes, sir.
not mentioning sexual harassment. I went through it, I found the 6 and 8 hour effect there. What's the overall effect to the city for that in a year? You say pennies, what kind of pennies?
I don't mean pennies. I mean, the payout for them would be almost pennies for if somebody worked 10 years and they accrued 10 sick days a year, right? They would use most of those going forward. At some point when they leave after 10 years, they get 1/5 of their payout. So I'm recommending 50% of their payout going forward as opposed to 1/5 of their payout.
Okay, and
I would just have to factor that on when somebody was leaving or not.
I would still ask again, what's the effect of that rather than approve it? I mean, what are we putting out here? Are we putting out, yeah, how much money is going out of that?
I can bring it.
You're using it as motivation, obviously. To
Correct.
some
And I guess further on that one, why did it change from 9 days to 12 days a year?
I just thought a normal accrual rate for other cities and other municipalities is 1 sick day per month.
Okay.
And if that's a sticking point, we can continue to do that at 6. But I believe that's fair with what other organizations are doing, as well as that 50% payout after that time frame is fair with what organizations are doing. I don't have the dollar figure for you at hand, but I can gladly get that to you. But so if I took everybody that was here 10 years now, and if they left tomorrow, what it would cost, what they would get at 50% of their payout at sick time, or what they would get at 1/5. It's hard to do because they would accrue more down the road, and then to guess how long somebody's going to stay here is kind of an issue. But I could give you some rough numbers back for the second reading if you'd like.
I think it's hard for the council to approve something they have no value to put to. I mean, there's nothing there.
And what's the difference in employees that have been here 10 years versus 6? I bet they're probably the same group.
Yeah.
I mean, those that make it 6 are probably here 10. So.
The other one I had was on the sick leave payout. There was a number of paragraphs, I just numbered them out. You changed that. I mean, a lot of this was pretty much cut and paste and things like that, and I think probably from other cities.
Well, I used the city of Panama City as one of the guides. They had a really good setup for their format to cover from the front for their front page as well as the SHRM.
Contents.
And I used a lot of the SHRM Society Human Resources Management's background for some of the items and the wording inside of there for some of the changes. So yes, sir, that was
Okay. In leave payout, which is page 23, if anyone wants to look at it, there were basically 10 paragraphs there. We reduced that to 7 paragraphs. Is that why did we pull out 3 of them?
It felt like it got quite a bit of redundancy for some of the types of leave. We've changed in at the way some of the absences are go about for the use of their leave. It just made it a little bit more concise. A lot of times when handbooks are written, they're written because somebody broke the rule, and it needed to be a little bit more concise. I guess that's the only word I can use. If you do this, you get fired. A lot of those things were inside of there. So I was able to write that in a different way where it was able to
reduce it.
Yes.
Okay.
Overall. And that was a lot of them.
You had mentioned that we let legal look at this.
Say it again?
You said we let legal look.
Yes, sir. I passed it through the city attorney.
Is that something we need to go to an employee relationship legal with or anything, or is it just something we do right here in the city?
We can do that right here in the city. I think Judge Doug's done a really good job, and I have reviewed
Absolutely,
it.
there's a lot of work done on it.
And I've reviewed it, and as far as legal muster, everything's fine.
I'm good.
I got this too. When you said Panama City, did you go against any other small community? All you used was, I mean, what I'm saying, you just use one Panama City, you go to Port St. Joe, Parker, Callaway, anybody that's got them a small, not Panama City, about 50 we are.
I did a couple of things related on some spot checking for some of the municipalities like Port St. Joe. I spoke to the city manager over there for some of the ways that he handles some of those. I did some other municipalities that I've worked with in the past. I didn't go, but like Apalachicola, if you're asking about some of these other ones right around there.
This local, but that was within the sick leave. They, Port St. Joe, Parker, Callaway, and then all of them within the same, what you're telling us now? Or?
It was very consistent, yes, sir. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but it was consistent and fair. Sick leave abuse is a big problem for us, not abuse, but using it rapidly. So I was hoping for a way to incentivize them to hold on to it. If it's not something you guys want to do at this time, I'd be glad to go back.
I got one more. I know in the past, I don't know if it still are or not, but if somebody had sick leave, they could give it to another employee. Is that, I mean, that's in the handbook?
Yes, sir, it's there. I cleaned that up just a little bit. There was a little bit of, this word would be abuse, is when somebody resigned and they're working out their notice, they just started doling out 20 and 40 hours to employees all the time. That was abuse in my opinion, and it cost the city lots of money.
Wow.
So I canceled that. I should have brought that up. I appreciate that. Once you put in your resignation, you cannot change any more time to anybody else, no matter what. So to me, when somebody would leave and they had 40 hours and they're only going to get 1/5 of their pay, or they didn't make it 10 years, they were just doling it out to other folks within the city, which helps at times, but it also costs the city a lot of money for that. So once they resign, they
My
can.
question.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that.
And I still like the one fee. How do others feel about it?
If we change the sick time payout, will they cap off how many hours they carry over, or will that be uncapped like it is now?
I didn't have a cap on it because we didn't have one existing. They could still only get the 50%. I have no problem bringing it back at another date if the council thinks that should be talked about later. We really need more of these rules in writing, so that was the main effort. But I want to bring your attention to the sick leave, so that you guys were aware of what we're doing.
Other questions? You have a question?
I was just going to make a statement. I agree with Mr. Willie that a cap on that gives the city more control as to how that payout would work at the end of the 2 years or whatever.
Okay. Any other questions? Any direction that we want to give at this time as the first reading?
I think we have to put some numbers to it. We can't just say that we're going to increase it. There has to be some numbers to it. And if a cap is a good thing, what is the cap? I mean, we have no clue.
Yeah, the thing about the cap though is, again, is we don't want to encourage people to use it.
Right. It's a catch-22.
Yeah.
That's all you're gonna get into. And given the numbers with respect, you're gonna have to take what an employee makes or what they may make. Or you're gonna have the number you're gonna get back is certainly not going to be something that you can write down as, it's gonna have to be
You can't.
a hypothetical number, and I don't know the value of it for the amount, for what you're gonna get personally.
You know, for short number, a fifth versus 50% is 2.5 times more. I mean, so whatever that. But yeah, it's going to change daily based on our accrual.
That's what it's gonna be. It's gonna be, I think the policy for me, and when I read that, when I spoke to him about that, there was the consensus that we were using. We're trying to encourage our employees to manage their time better. That's really what we do.
And we're trying to motivate them by
Well, yeah, showing them that there's a reason to hang on to it.
Right.
And if it monetarily helps them, even though they can't see it at the time,
Right.
sometimes the way it's written helps them with that.
And serious accidents happen. You know, people have stuff that comes up in their life and they need that time, and the donations are going to back off, like Mr. Smith brought up. So it does entice the employee to hold on to it just in case they have some kind of surgery come up, or FMLA, or a birth of a child. Something comes up, they hold on to it more so they're not freaking out, how am I going to make my paycheck? So it does incentivize that. So
And it keeps us, city, when somebody decides they want to use their sick time, it gives us people on the job. Instead of somebody else filling in, doing something they should be doing, they're helping because somebody used their sick time. So,
Yeah. And I'll admit that when I left after 6 years, I had about 300 hours, and I doled it out to everybody because I was losing it anyway. So it makes sense why, highest bidder got sick time. No.
no, it's I think that part of the change is good. Without question. Okay, we started out without just sort of getting an overview. Is there a motion to read, remember, first reading and let's see if we get, is there a motion to read by title only?
I think we could read and wordsmith it before the second reading. So I make a motion to read ordinance 798 by title only.
I second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Please read.
Ordinance 798, an ordinance of the city of Mexico Beach, Florida relating to personnel policies of the city, amending ordinance number 644 and all prior ordinances, resolutions, motions, or other actions pertaining to city personnel policies, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
My recommendation is that you submit to Doug things that you want to see, you know, or either clarification or wordsmith, one of the two. And then we can see if it's something minor, Mr. Attorney, we can move forward with the second reading as long as it's that we don't change a lot of the context.
Correct.
All right, moving on.
Thank you very much for that.
Next is ordinance 799, which is the rate increase water and sewer, first reading.
I'll take that one, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, go right ahead.
So what I'm passing out is a worksheet for you guys to see. There's a clean copy in your packet of what the ordinance and rates will be. I wanted to make sure I passed out to you guys to see what the increases actually look like dollar figure wise. In the past, you've seen track changes on it. We provided a clean copy. This backup just shows you what we currently have, and you'll see a strike through next to each one of them related to the new current charge is what we're going to bring. So before I get into the numbers, just want to make sure that you understand ordinance 799 specifically is related to the water and sewer rates, which are pass-through numbers that come from Bay County. Bay County increased their water rates, which is pretty normal for us. This year, they've actually increased their sewer rates for the first time in a while. So you'll see the increase in water and sewer rates of 3% passed on to the city residents of Mexico Beach as we buy wholesale water from them. The attached copy identifies what each one of those are. Do we want to leave ordinance 800 or talk about it at the same time, Mr. Mayor?
No, water and sewer, 799.
799. So you'll see the water and sewer rates are highlighted in yellow on your worksheet, your previous rates and your new rates. Staff recommends this approval for the pass-through from Bay County for water and sewer rates only as a 3% increase. Recommend approval for first reading.
So for the residents, on your standard water bill is from 3807 to 3921. But that's for your basic water rate. Sewer rate from 4789 to 4932. 4,000 gallons usage. Okay. Are there any questions? Okay, go ahead.
We're gonna do both of these together, I
We're
thought.
going to do ordinance 799, which is water and sewer. 800 is sanitation. All right, so do I have a motion to read ordinance 799 by title only?
Make a motion to read ordinance 799 by title only.
Second. We have a motion and a second. No questions? Okay. Please read.
Ordinance 799. An ordinance of the city of Mexico Beach, Florida, amending ordinance number 738 and 774, adjusting the current rates to be charged for the use of the municipal water sewer system for the service inside and outside the city limits of Mexico Beach, allowing for senior citizen discount and vacant lot rates, repealing all ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, next is ordinance 800. This deals with sanitation.
Yes, sir. You'll see I've also attached a worksheet that I just passed out, and sanitation rates are on the very last page. As the mayor stated before, the residential rate was $29.45 for the resident, for the single resident, going to $30.32. The city hasn't raised this rate since 2017 for sanitation services. We highly feel that due to the rate of the cost of labor, fuels, and tipping fees, that this 3% is in line. We're also, as you noted during the budget workshop, we're starting to save for our next trash truck, so we're putting money aside for that. And just as a reference, inflation is at 8.2%, and we're only raising up to 3% for the sanitation rates for the services provided. We would include this going forward in October for the bills, and staff recommends approval for first reading.
Okay. Any questions? Is there a motion to read ordinance 800 by title only?
Motion for ordinance 800, rate increase for sanitation.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Please read.
Ordinance 800. An ordinance of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida, amending ordinance number 686, adjusting the current rates to be charged for the use of the municipal sanitation system, repealing all ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing for an effective date.
Lisa, make sure you get a copy of this so when you write down what the numbers are, you get the right number.
Thank you, yes.
Okay, that's also first reading. Thank you. Next is number 6, job descriptions. City Administrator.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. So the job description discussion is related to the positions that we requested during the budget workshops. It's appropriate to bring these positions back to the council to review or ask any questions about related to those 4 positions. For reference, those positions are the administrative assistants for utilities and public works, the development services director, the firefighter, full-time, and the parks and recreation superintendent. To date, we have posted these jobs as written. However, we can continue to make changes as we need to. We needed to start building our pool of applications so that we can hit the ground running in October should everything go through with the budget. So to date, we've received quite a few applications for all the positions, and things are moving quite smoothly. So these items are as directed during the budget workshops, but I just want to make sure you guys saw what they were doing in case you had any questions for me.
All right, questions concerning job descriptions? These are all new positions that will be added to the handbook in terms of once they're filled and approved.
My comment on the job description, that's what we asked for, that's what we got.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the positions, I guess, during the budget time.
No, well, I'm just talking about, I guess he's just wanting to see how they're actually, on paper, how they're written. What I read seems exactly what we're talking about. Yeah. All right, so anyone have any questions? Okay. I assume then, Doug, we're good to go.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's see. Number 7, meeting schedule. Everyone knows that the last we had a forum and we said we put this on there for discussion about changing our meeting time to 6 o'clock. So here we are. It's open for discussion. I'll tell you what I found out. I looked around myself. To Franklin County, Gulf County, Bay County, and 62% of the meetings are held during business hours. We've done it before, and I'll say it again. I said it at the meeting the other night. It is my firm belief that in Mexico Beach, like others, that the agenda drives the attendance. We've been 5 years and counting on 9 a.m. meetings, and to date, other than at the last forum meeting, there were some people that talked about we need to do it at 6 o'clock. Since that time, I've had 3 people ask me not to change them, that they One, they can't come because of conflicts they would have at 6 o'clock. So I think you're gonna get into, for me, I think there's easily justifiable. We're not an anomaly. We meet when a lot of other people meet. And I think that I'm for keeping the meetings at 9 o'clock. And that's all I got.
I've been through both.
Whoever goes.
I've been through both, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock. I've seen probably less people at 6 o'clock than I have at 9. I think we ought to stay at 9, but I would still like to see maybe every 3 months, a town hall meeting at 6 o'clock at night. So that's my feelings.
Yeah, I maybe a little bit strong, but this is the way I feel about it. I mean, based on sitting here and listening to the citizens and hearing what's going on here, I would suggest do a first meeting of the month, 9 o'clock, second meeting of the month at 6 o'clock, and then have a quarterly town hall, because I believe the town hall gives you a lot more opportunity than what we're trying to do during a council meeting. And that's trying to get through an agenda and approve and disapprove things. So I think a quarterly town hall at 6 p.m. would be fine, and I think we ought to change the 9 and 6 to 2 meetings.
I also like the quarterly town hall meeting. I don't care what time we meet. I was leaning towards the every other month, one at 6, one at 9, but mine was actually opposite, the first of the month being at 6 and the fourth weekday at 9.
I've asked people in my neighborhood. I'd like to be, I didn't get very few of them. They told me it's mostly up to me. What time did I want to go? And I said, well, what time would you come? And the majority of them at 9 o'clock don't get up that early anyway. Wow. I'm sorry. They including my wife.
Probably not going to be the meeting attenders if you're not up by 9 a.m.
That's what I'm saying. So, to me, changing it, and I think if you want something to say or do, you can come at 9, just as good as you can come at 6. Now, if we have an overwhelming that wants to do it again, and if you'll really think about it, the last meeting, what we accomplished and what we got done, it was the meeting. To me. So I'm in favor of just keeping it at 9, not just we have more than what I've come up with.
Things change. I think we ought to listen to history. I think we all know that if we've done things in the past, you're going to take that information and you're going to evaluate while you're going forward. I just think that we heard a message, and I believe we should take a chance and make a change.
I'm willing to try it, and we can always try it and change back, or see what kind of attendance we get. But if we move tonight, I have some coordinating I personally need to do with what I've got scheduled in the evening, so that's something I can do pretty easily.
Okay, so we'll entertain a motion. Somebody, that's the only way I know to do it.
I make a motion that we have a meeting at 9 o'clock on the first meeting, second meeting at 6 p.m., and a quarterly town hall at 6 o'clock.
I'll second it.
All right, let's take the town hall out. That's not part of the, we're talking about regular council meetings. We're not talking about, that shouldn't be, you can make it, if you want to do something separate, but let's deal with the regularly scheduled meetings, which are 2 meetings a month.
And Mayor, I agree with you. Let's go ahead and, whatever we got to do, whatever the procedure is, I'll do that procedure, but I believe the quarterly town hall is important. It's a different form.
Okay, it's just not on the agenda, Rich. There's nothing about quarterly.
Can we add it to the next agenda?
Sure. We can do it today if you want to, but I don't want it to be part of
Two separate motions.
Yeah, okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Let's do it today.
All right, so what is your motion?
I make a motion that we have our first meeting of the month at 9 o'clock, the second meeting at 6.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Hey, can I say something before you vote?
Yeah, that's what I said. Is there any further discussion?
Okay, well, I'm giving you my further discussion. During your comment, you said 3 people you talked to didn't want to change it. Well, we had a room of about 40, 50 people that did want to change it. So I don't understand when the organization chart says the leadership of this community is citizens first, mayor, council, and then the administration. So it doesn't seem to me you're listening to these people that attended the last meeting. So I don't really understand what's the issue, why it's so adamant that you're opposed. We have I believe, a new movement going on in the community to improve this area. And now you're just kind of shutting us out because you're not listening to us. That's not correct.
Any other? Okay. Have a motion second. Call the roll, please.
Mayor Kathy?
No.
Mr. Smith?
No.
Mr.
We know how
Pollak?
this is going.
No.
Mr. Pollak? Mr. Willie?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Okay. Next on the list is project list.
We're gonna talk about.
Oh, well, Rich wants to do the town hall.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I'd like to see us have a town hall meeting at 6 p.m. every quarter.
I'll put that in motion form.
Okay.
Oh, did you? I'm sorry. Okay, I was waiting. I was looking here. Okay, so we have a motion to adopt a
Quarterly town hall meeting
6 p.m.
at 6 p.m.
quarterly.
Quarterly.
Quarterly, yes.
When would the first one start?
First quarter.
Yeah.
We're already at it.
Starting, well, we had one.
Yeah,
We're
we
talking
had
about
one.
the first year.
January, April, July, and October.
Okay, so we have a motion for a quarterly town hall meeting beginning in, I'm trying to. January, okay.
January. And repeating at the first month of every quarter after.
Okay. There you go. All right, so.
There's the motion.
Yeah,
I'll second that.
all right, so you second. All right, we have a motion for a quarterly meeting, first month of each quarter. Okay, we got it. Discussion, questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
So, just for clarification on the purpose of those, would you plan to have the whole city council or just a certain panel of people? And would there certain topics, or would it just kind of be like an open panel where residents could ask questions on agendas? Just kind of.
Town hall is
what's the
open.
purpose of it?
Town hall is
City
open.
council.
City council.
Okay, all of the city council, okay.
Okay. Motion second, call the roll.
Mayor Kathy?
Quarterly, we don't want to do it biannual. I'm just asking, that's the word. I'm just.
Quarter.
All right, yes?
Mr. Pollak?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Willie?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Okay, between now and then, if there's no, we need to have I don't want to call it, there's no agenda, but we need something that defines how that's going to be run.
Calendar. I can bring back a recommendation.
Yeah, we just need something so that when everybody shows up, we know here's what we're going to do.
What we can vote, what we can vote, all that kind of
And
stuff.
set the dates because to me, have a travel schedule that I need to coordinate on.
I'll bring back the annual schedule
Yeah.
preparations for January. In my thoughts, it would be that week in the middle, the third week.
Try to do it on the Tuesday that we meet.
Yes,
But that's what I'm saying, so if you meet the 2nd and the 4th, we would put it on the 3rd Tuesday quarterly.
So he's saying.
Make it on the meeting date. Make it on the meeting, yeah, cause
Nighttime on the same
crazy.
day. Nighttime on the same day.
Yeah, it's not counting the same, I mean, I would appreciate that.
Yeah, me too.
Same day.
So kind of keep that thing together.
Same day, okay.
Okay. All right, moving on to project list. That's you, Doug.
Yes, sir, just one second. Okay. All right, project list, excuse me. So for the 8th Street restrooms, which is the first one on the agenda, we received the plans back from the architect. David, the city engineer, is reviewing that with myself, kind of making sure that they hit all the high points that the council had asked for the 3 different bathrooms, and I'll lump these together. The 8th Street restrooms, Under the Palms, and Parker Park. So we received the design back from those. We spoke openly at a meeting here about how we would bid that out, and then it would come back to the council on the decision on what size bathroom to put at each location. So that's in the works. We've got a great plan for that, and David's working through that with the architect. 15th Street bridge repairs. We are near completion. The rain kind of stopped us. We were supposed to have some paving on the sides of those roads done this week. They were installing they call them the punching bags on the end of the guardrails. That's nearing completion. The boat ramp expansion we spoke about earlier today. The bypass pumps are still on hold. There's some discussion through the county on a better way to bid that out or to get this done accordingly that's affordable. Based on the bid that we got, it was just not affordable. So we're working on some plans for that to bring back.
Are we gonna mess around and wait till we have to have them? That's what I'm worried about.
I hate to say that, but it was so unreasonable. But I'm also working on a plan. I didn't mean to interrupt.
But we have to have when we get accession, we have to have them. But I do not want us, I would rather us not wait till we had to have them and then bang.
So I've
got a lot of money back there.
I'm working on a way to use impact fees for some of those bigger ones that you're talking about. This was the generators that go along with those bypass pumps that were built into that station. So yes, sir, I do understand your concern, and I share that with you. The citywide stormwater repairs are still underway. They're working around 15th Street towards 98. They've opened up a whole lot of ways that the water's flowing. They've identified some spots for us because we can actually see where it's plugged up. Thanks to Mr. Smith for helping identify there on the 15th Street. They actually unplugged that.
That's the lady right there.
Oh, I thought your husband had met you before.
It's working fantastic. I've got kudos to the city and all of the workers out there work fantastic.
I high-fived all the workers. I mean, they did a trench job. That guy has beautiful ground. Your husband, you have beautiful sod in your front yard. And I just told, Tim and Andy, kudos to those guys. They went out there with a plan to pull that up and set the sod over to the side and just fix that pipe. And the owners paid for that pipe repair at their cost. The city staff implemented it. And it's flowing through perfectly. I guess so.
It
Yes,
is
over the
absolutely
weekend.
working, but yeah, I just want to say all the city employees that were part of it were fantastic. Very professional.
Ma'am, do you want to say something anyway?
Oh, I didn't want to say anything additional. I just,
Okay.
since you were talking about that, I just wanted to say.
I didn't put two and two together. I appreciate that.
It is working great.
I know, yeah.
We had a lot of water the other day, and we're noticing it's diverting properly, it's going where it needs to be, and not affecting any of the houses around.
So I was explaining to your husband the other day that down the road, there's 3 or 4 pipes, and David identified those that are underneath those roads, those driveways that go to nowhere, that are going to get replaced in the next phase. So anything that's backed up back there will get replaced as well. If it's completely blocking something, we're just going to pull it out and make it a ditch until they come back and the builder wants to build something in there. So we're working our way around 15th with the same kind of thing, and it really helps. I know it stinks with all the rain that we're getting, but it really helps show us where we're backed up in certain sections, and it identified where the peak is going, so which way the water goes towards 98, towards 386, or back towards the canal system. So I believe it is working well in coordination with our city staff. And that's what I said earlier. They're working through Maryland. They're working through some of these other low spots on 7th Street. It gets the water from all the way down to 15th Street. So I believe the staff is working well with the contractor. And the contractor gets kind of hung up a little bit because of the rain also, but they are moving along. The dredge purchase.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, excuse me.
I'm going to stay on the stormwater 15th.
Yes, sir.
This morning, me and David, I met David coming into town there and showed we do have a minor problem that we need to address, at least document it, because we got the water record flooding. And when I was at Wallace's, from Wallace's, we didn't have water. Now we have standing water. But we have a lateral sewage, that's not right. We finding things that's wrong that we're gonna correct, but I wanna make sure we get that fixed. If they did bust the line, the lateral line, before it did. But if it's gonna be a problem, I think we're gonna get it fixed. I got Nicholas Davis out there showing.
Okay.
So but we have standing water that it needs to go somewhere.
I agree.
Okay.
Even like that storage facility that's around the corner there from Wallace,
Yes.
they don't have a pipe under their driveway. So
That's right.
we're fixing that also. So we are identifying a lot of the spots that are plugged up. And I'll follow up with David on that. I appreciate that.
Are we, on people that don't have the driveways in, we're gonna do like we did them and if they'll buy the pipe, we'll put it in, or do we have a format or what we're gonna do?
So there's two conversations here. And I don't want to say that we're not doing certain because FEMA's going to pay for it, but a lot of it FEMA's going to pay for in the next phase, and we're so close to getting that final, the second portion move forward with our stormwater project that if we don't have to extend city funds, we're going to do it. So the second half of that is exactly what you said. If we go to the homeowner and we find a way that they want to put pipe instead of the ditch, our city staff is going to handle that for them going forward. So we're working both sides of the coin here to try to say to make it affordable for everybody, for the city. We couldn't just go, city can't afford that. But
I promise you, I understand we can't, but we need to document like this morning, there was no water flow. And either we got they come in there with, I wouldn't call it the sub truck, or the vacuum truck. It sucks and blows that, make sure the driveways is open. And I was asking David, do we know that the driveways are open through there on 15?
well, if he's talking about the ones down there close to Paradise Cove, they're not going to be as open as they want to be. We're working on a way to push a pipe through or something, some kind of alternative, or like I said, dig it out and put a ditch.
Shouldn't it?
Yes, sir.
As long as we on top of it.
Yes, sir.
But stormwater is a big thing here, we need to.
David also has reviewed, so they did a transit on every one of those things coming around 15th Street, so they know which way the fall is going to go. David is working on a plan with the contractor of how to connect a couple of them in together at 5th Street. So we are working on a solution. And generally, remember, FEMA puts back what we had prior to the storm. They don't make it better. So that's our combination of our city staff services to make it better at the same time. And if there's some expensive portions, we'll bring it back to you. One thing to note is the back trucking didn't cost as much as they thought they would have to use. So we do have some flexibility that the contractor is working with us on. So, yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody else on the stormwater project? You good?
Believe yes, as long as we know what's going on.
The dredge purchase, still anticipate delivery December 2023. The jetty, we're still in the permitting process. We're awaiting consultations through FEMA so that they can start that process. It is going to be an arduous process to go through that consultation. So once we get the go-ahead for that, they coordinate with all the other agencies. So I don't have any other news on that. The marina, I do have some good news on the marina, the boat ramp, fish cleaning stations, the landscaping and paving. Landscaping has started today for Canal Parkway, as well as over at the boat ramp. They have some spot where they have to put some sod down and some irrigation, and then paving is scheduled for next week. The goal is not to shut that road down completely. Jason says he'll work in a way where he only does half of it and sections of it at a time, so we'll still have access to that way, just maybe limited. So I'll keep you up to date on that. We're supposed to have DAG Engineering supposed to be here on Monday to review the Canal Parkway Pavilion for a first walkthrough. So they think they're going to be close by the end of the month to be done with the Canal Parkway Pavilion. So that's great news to get that over. However, that does move our restroom from Parker Park to the Canal Parkway. So we'll work on a solution for that. The fish cleaning station I mentioned earlier is open and running, and we are getting marvelous compliments from residents. They can't believe how nice is what we have here in Mexico Beach. So kudos to you guys for making that project move forward. Parker Park, The plans have been received for the bathrooms, as I spoke about earlier. We're starting to review the stormwater plan with Dewberry on how to, where we have the big stormwater retention areas inside of Parker Park, how we would design on the outskirts of that Parker Park so that it doesn't take up so much land in the middle. So we're working on plans with that to bring back. The Parker Park Waterway, I have no more news on that. The developer at one point said that he was working on a permit to fill that in. He still thinks very positively that that could happen. So that's a conversation for another day. The pier, we're working with BDI, which is our contractor for engineering, on a change order to move the restrooms off of the pier to the old location. So it was determined that it could not be up on the pier where we had placed it. So we'll have to go through the process of a change order to do that in the old location. We did receive a temporary DEP permit and approved it through the state for that project. So we've posted that accordingly on the internet and all the steps that they require us to go through for DEP. So that's the good news. But that does not cover like FEMA and Army Corps. That's just DEP. Municipal complex. FDEM and FEMA, they want cost on fill versus pile. So we're working, Ryan and his team are working on the cost structure related to how much fill you have to raise that building versus if it was on pilings. We're hoping for pilings because the cost is more expensive, which helps us with our plan. The street lights, I received an update from Duke Energy this morning. Paradise Cove is scheduled to start on 9/26/22. So they're going to remove all those extra lights that are there and get them all working currently. That was brought to our attention. Also have the citywide street lights. We only have outstanding the turtle lights. They've been ordered and they're scheduled to start installation on September 19th. So next week they should be working to finish all the rest. And that'll be done with the citywide street lighting once those two projects are completed. Sunset Park, DEP is working to schedule a final inspection because the lights went in on the stepways. And in general, come out to make sure that it looks nice, and then we'll get it turned over to the city following that. But we're waiting on DEP inspection. The surge gate for the canal, we're still looking at options related to that. If we do it or not, maybe it's a no-go. But I want to bring back some more information to you so you guys can make an educated decision. So nothing new on that. Under the Palms Park, we talked about the plans that are ready for review. We're excited to have that going forward. We're working on bidding out those bathrooms. The underwater debris removal Ryan spoke about, and one that I would like to add to the agenda here, to the project list if it's okay with you guys, is the 15th Street pedestrian bridge and sidewalk project. So that way, as the money starts to get coming in and we start working on a plan going forward, I can discuss it with you as we proceed. Any other items you'd like to have a question about or add to the project list or take off the project list?
Doug, on the 15th Street Bridge, we got approved through the appropriations for those two things. Are we following, the governor got approved the budget.
That's right.
So we've got additional steps. I noticed when I read the appropriation list, there were a lot of things added. Have we done any follow-up to see?
Short of talking to Jay Trumbull in his office and then thanking him for his support for the projects, and he agreed that he thought they were well needed. He did follow up with me on that, but
Yeah.
I have not, his office, they haven't given me any information that I need to fill out. I did speak with Debbie about, personally, this will be the first time I've received appropriations. So she said that they had done it in the past, and she knows the order in which to do that going forward. So her and I are working on a plan to receive those funds.
Yeah, I talked to Jay.
I've asked for them a lot, but I've never received them. So that's as far as I got.
Well, I just, maybe for the table, it looks good,
Right.
but it doesn't mean it's a done deal.
Correct.
Is my point. So I don't want to, just keep in touch with Jay's office and see how that.
Is that on the project list?
Understand?
It's not, but I
Put
had,
it on the project list, that way we can ask when he's.
The appropriations? I think that's what he said he did.
I've requested to put it on the list. It's already.
Yeah, that's what he just said.
the other question on that is, do we know what match we're gonna have to pay? Is there going to be a match?
Well, appropriations traditionally is not.
100%.
100% for that end of the fire truck.
Yes. Those are not.
Can we get it done for that, is the question.
I think we can find a nice used truck. I think we built into that plan a certain linear feet of sidewalk. It may not be what we have now with the sidewalk. Maybe we want to work on some kind of plan with some impact fees to make it a 6 foot wide or whatever, multi-use path or something, but I'll bring all that back to you with some plans, so.
Well, when the appropriations, if approved, you will get some guidelines of what's gonna be required to spend that money.
Alternative water source was appropriation, right?
Or,
Okay.
well, but not through House and Senate, that was through Northwest Florida Water Management.
Debbie said she was quite familiar and she would kind of help me through the process of I've received a lot of grants, like I said, but I've never appropriation money in that past. I'm looking forward to going through the process, as long as they don't pull it back. That's fine.
Okay, anything else?
That's all I have for the project list, sir.
Okay, why don't you go ahead with your staff report? Or is that it?
I just had one thing to talk about. September Music in the Park, largest crowd we had seen. I had seen Mexico Beach in one spot. Well, it was last Thursday. Kudos to Mr. Pollock and his idea with Kimberly for the fire department to serve food at it. I think they raised over $400. So the money from that goes along with our month of October, which we're going to have at the next agenda. We'll have a proclamation coming to you for fire. I lost my train of thought. Fire Prevention Month. Excuse me, Fire Prevention Month. So what we do is the fire department has a separate 501c3, which the city's not involved with. The money that they raise through that event goes into that fund so that they can help the residents of Mexico Beach that are in need of fire alarms or the key door that they put on the outside of the door. They support a lot of that with education and helping the residents that can't get on the ladder and things of that nature. So, and it's not for everybody, it's the ones that really need the help. You know, they're on fixed incomes and things like that, so they help that. So kudos to those guys. They're eager to sell the hot dogs. Harley's Hot Dog Roll did a great job. So we got some talented folks around here that came together pretty quick. So thank you guys for allowing us to raise money there. But that's coming up next Thursday. Excuse me. On the 15th is Flabbergasted. So it should be a pretty good following, as I understand, for some folks. So that band should be pretty well received on Thursday night from 5 to 7 at Parker Park.
Okay,
I'm done, sir.
all right. Any questions for the administrator? Okay. Clint, you have anything?
Just one thing, I just wanted to let the rest of the council members know, that since we rejected their settlement proposal approximately 2 months ago, I have not heard anything from you.
That's good.
I don't necessarily wouldn't read too much into that, but no news is always good news.
Is it good?
All right, council.
The only thing I had was the sound system was discussed during the town hall. We done anything yet of it?
We have, yes, sir. So the prototype is here that funnels the sound from everybody into that booth. We tested it several times over the last week. Sandy, the harbor master, harbor fire chief, the man of all trades, has designed that hopefully we'll know after this meeting today how it was received volume-wise. But it should be better, and once that's done, we'll make it look a little nicer there with the prototype.
So it's just adding that little...
That cone funnels everything that we say into that microphone, and it kind of blocks out some of the crowd noise that you might hear. So we're hoping that. Honestly, if you know, they just did the city of Parker. The IT from Bay County went in and spent $3,000 to upgrade their system. I just can't personally see what we would do still in the public works break room, expense wise. So we're trying to be frugal with that idea going forward. We do want to make sure that the staff and people can hear us online. I am looking at another option that was brought to my attention, which was YouTube, the videos from YouTube. Sometimes they have a better quality that goes out. They don't have to circle, when the circle comes up, it's thinking. They seem that it runs a little smoother. So we're looking with that with Jack Harrigan with our website page as an idea, but I didn't make any changes at this time.
Good deal.
Bobby, good.
I'm good.
I got one thing, and that's the contract agreement with our administrator automatically renewed on September 1st, which is according to the contract. In the near future, in your boxes, you will find an evaluation form, but it'll probably be November, December. Give everyone a little time to have had some background and ability to do a good, fair evaluation. And we're planning on having that done by the end of the year. Evaluation, but you'll get a form in your box for the evaluation. But his contract per the agreement renewed on September 1st. Jerry, you got anything?
Believe it or not, I just want to tell everybody that Tammy's birthday was yesterday. Y'all see her ever have a birthday? I see it.
And we sang, you missed it.
I missed it, yeah, but I didn't give her a present.
Good for you. Hey, you got anything? Thank everyone for coming. Motion for adjournment.